Hey again, everyone. Welcome back. So in the previous video, we finished up our punching montage. That's our animation montage that we are using for our punching sequence. We also did a little bit of animation retargeting to clean up some of our animations by adjusting how it responds to our skeleton, etc. So in this video, what we're going to do is hop inside of our character blueprint and also inside of our animation blueprint and provide a way for those two blueprints to talk to one another to let the animation blueprint know when the player character, that's the player controlling our playable character, is actually punching. Now that might sound a little bit complicated, but once we get into it here, you'll see how quickly this video actually is going to go, because this is going to be a short video. So let's continue inside the editor here. If you have Persona up, go ahead and close it. We're not going to be using that at the moment, so I'm going to close this Persona window. And I'm going to go down to the content browser, and inside the character folder, going to open up our character BP, which is our character blueprint. So go ahead and double click to open that up. And once you have that open, again, there's our script for movement, jumping, mouse control, or camera control with our mouse, gamepad controls for our camera, and touch controls. We need to add one more control for punching. So we're going to right click in the graph, and we're going to search for punch. Now because we set up our punching action event when we set up our inputs, there's our punch right there. So that's all we need to do is select that. That's going to give us our pressed and released, just like we did for our jump action event. And what we're going to do for this is pretty simple. Actually, we're going to hop over to the My Blueprint window and click near this plus sign. You'll see I'll mouse over it. It'll give us the new variable. So go ahead and click the plus to add a new variable. We're going to call this variable is punching. Like so, question mark. You can name whatever you want. We just want to know if the character is punching. And once we've done so, we're going to hold Alt down on your keyboard, left click, and drag that variable into the graph, like so, and release the left mouse button. That's going to give us a set node so that we can set this variable. With the node still selected, I'm going to hit Control C and then Control V to give us a copy of it. And we're going to connect both the pressed and released to each of these nodes. So drag off the pressed, and connect, and drag off the released, and connect. Now, when it's pressed, we want is punching to be true. As soon as I let go of the mouse button, left mouse button, or the face button, bottom face button, then we want is punching to be false. So that's all we need to do for our character blueprint. We are currently done. So I'm going to add a comment around this really quickly. Left clicking and dragging to select all the nodes, hit C, and this is our punching. Well, that's not how you spell punching, but that is punching. Okay, let's compile and save this blueprint. So hit compile and save, and then let's close the blueprint. So now what we need to do is hop inside of our character animation blueprint. So let's go down to the content browser, and right next to it is our character anim BP. So go ahead and double click and open that up. And it should open to the event graph. If it does not, you can get to it from the top. If you don't see the tab up here at the top, you can go down to the My Blueprint tab and then double click on the event graph. So what we need to do now is we have all the functionality for determining if the character is in air, if they're in speed, but now we want to find out if the player character is punching. So how do we do that? What we can do, first of all, if we tried to do it this way, currently what we're doing is populating is in air and is in speed, and the current speed. If we tried to drag off of our try get pawn owner here, and we released and we searched for, what did we call it, is punching, nothing comes up. We don't see it. That's because we don't know what type of pawn the pawn owner is. It could be anything, essentially. What we need to find out is if this pawn owner is our character BP, our character blueprint, then we can actually access the functionality within that character blueprint. So what we're going to use is called a cast node. And if you're a programmer, you kind of know what casting is. So you kind of got an idea of what we're going to do here. If you're new to casting, it's essentially what we're doing is for the two blueprints to communicate to one another, we're checking to see, in fact, when we use a cast node, is this the type of blueprint that we should be talking to? And if it is, then we can access the functionality inside that blueprint. So what we're going to do is drag off of the return value of our try get pawn owner here, and we're going to release. And when we do, we're going to search for cast to. Now we got a bunch of different options here. We're going to go up to our character blueprint there. So we're going to cast to our character BP, and it's going to give us a new node. We're going to drag that node up and connect it to the speed like so. So let's connect our speed into this like so. And on our cast node, it gives us a couple options here. It gives us an executable wire. It also gives us a cast failed. And then it also gives us a pin that says as character BP. Dragging off of this, we can actually access the functionality inside of our character BP blueprint. So if I release now and I search for is punching, there is our variable that we can get. So what we want to do is get the value of is punching. And then what we're going to do here is right-click on this and promote that to a variable. So now we have a variable inside of our animation blueprint that is tied to the variable inside of our character blueprint. Now we need to rename this, so I'm going to hop down to the My Blueprint window here, or actually in the Details panel over here. Let's just rename this for clarity, is punching. Same name, that's fine. And the last thing that we need to do is connect our executable wire here to our set. So if I mouse wheel out and look at our script here, what's going to happen, every frame we are updating and checking to see if we do in fact have a pawn owner. If we don't, we're not going to do anything. If we do, we're going to check and see if the character is falling and set that as the variable for is in air. We're also going to get the velocity, the length of that velocity, and set that as our speed. But then we're going to cast to our character BP and say, are we using the character BP blueprint? And if we are, then we're going to get the value of punching and assign that to our variable inside of our animation blueprint is punching as well, which we can then use to set up our animation montage. I actually want to do that in a different video, so we're going to actually pause here. This is going to be a short video, so we're going to wrap here. So what we've done here is essentially set up a way for our two blueprints, our character blueprint and our animation blueprint, to talk to one another and share the variable is punching to determine if the character is, or if the player is holding down the mouse button to punch or the face button to punch. In the next video, we will continue with our script here on the event graph and actually call our montage and play that. So let's pause here and we will pick it up in the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you then.